One more. One more.
Let me see. There you go. that one you would have a lead in.
Man, this has to be written down, doesn't it?
I think so.
Okay.
Sorry, maybe.
Okay. Well, I had it written down, so it's in my head. So, the turning point meta where we discuss the axiom of players' decisions, strategy, game state, and overall meta of CEDH.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's really what it is, right? I mean, take.
Take and done. Finished.
Okay, so I am Rifter, sometimes known as Rage, and my co-host.
I am Nathan, typically known online as Natonymous. As far as Magic is concerned, when did I start playing? I think I started playing just Commander in general. Okay, that's the thing, right? I was never big. I knew about Magic. I was never a 1v1 format player.
Sure.
My experience kind of started in Commander. I know about things from the past when it comes to Magic.
The history.
100%.
Sure.
I watch 1v1 formats online because I think 1v1 formats can actually teach you a lot just about Magic in general.
Sure.
And I think it could just teach you maybe when to hold your cards and when to use them, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But regardless. But I didn't start actually playing Magic. Gosh, what set was that? It was the set just after, like, the Wilhelt Precon and...
Oh, the zombie.
Was it Innistrad Midnight Hunt?
It's got to be. I actually have that deck.
Oh, dude. Well, see, so that was the deck that Garrett, or Monkey Slay, online, he actually started playing against me with. And I played an Azuri deck that he had.
Sure.
It was all about experience counters and things like that. And I never played card games before. Not a big card game player.
No Goldfish.
Nope.
No Yahtzee.
I don't like.
Well, no, that's dice.
that's dice.
Okay.
So I like Uno. I never played Uno or anything like that. I'm just never big on card games or board games in general.
Yeah, you don't like family time. I got it.
And so, no family. Not for my wife, or my daughter. So when he tried to convince me to play Magic for a while, actually. And he was like, "No, it's Commander. It's a fun format. I really think that you would like it." And I've been friends with Monkey Slay for like 15 years. It's a very, very long time. And he finally was just like, "Just come down. I will give you a Commander deck. I'll teach you the basics. We'll just do it." And I was like, he was like, "Will you do that for me at least?" And I was like, "Okay, fine. I'm not gonna fight with you anymore. Fine, you win." And ever since, I've been obsessed. Sure. I absolutely love the game. I started with like Landfall and then moved into like Is It Storm. I did like an Orzhov life gain type deck
for
a while.
Yeah,
right.
Yep.
Thinking that it's the best strategy in the game. You'll never kill me if I have 100 life. And then the Orzhov turned into an Esper life gain with Oloro.
Sure.
The one that just every upkeep you gain 2 life. And so that was kind of my start of playing Commander and playing just Magic in general. I would like to know where you came from when it comes to going from when you started in Magic and then when that transition was when you yourself got into Commander.
Okay, so my friend started me in Commander in 2014, 2013, I'm not totally sure, way back in the day. Precons were still a thing, but not very popular in general. Came back, and he's just like you, right? Hey, I have a deck, let's play it. Bugs me. And eventually we go over to some friend's house, and I'm like, you know what? I'm here. I don't know too many people. I know him. So me and him went over there, we played this random game, like, this is kind of fun. Okay, cool. Bought my own deck. Eventually, I don't remember. I've had too many precons.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not totally sure. But either way, I started playing, and eventually I was bugging my friend, like, hey, let's 1v1. Let's play. We lived in the same house, no big deal. And I did that for a while, got online, played on MTGO for like some casual nonsense 1v1. I think I made some like mill deck.
Hey, there was a time, man.
I think it was like a blue-black mill deck that for however much defense the creature had, you can tap it and it mills them for that amount.
Why does that sound? Oh, who is that?
I
Oh, we're gonna get flack for that.
It's a blue-black commander. I don't know. I just picked it because it was cheap. It was like 7 tickets online on MTGO, and so I'm like, cool. This is fun. I played the living hell out of it. Eventually, my friend moved because I moved quite a bit, and I got some new friends in, and I said, I just want to play whatever everyone else is playing. So standard, back in the day, cons probably is about when I started. Maybe Origins. I don't know. All that was kind of a blur in general. And cons was great draft. So I did a lot of draft. I did a lot of standard in general just because it was cheap pre-COVID. I played a lot of standard at the game, and eventually we started beating the same, playing the same people, and eventually getting kind of bored. So we would travel out to the capital, South Carolina, big old shop over there, and met a lot of good people. And these guys are really good. Let's play against them, right? Okay. So my history, realistically, is the 60-card format. I got PPTQs, RCQs. I was a grinder. I'd be grinding almost every day of the weekend for a couple years, and it was a lot of fun. Going to SCG cons, going to whatever else they had back in the day that isn't existent anymore. But I would grind, get to day 2, and get a lot of Planeswalker points back in the day. It was just a lot of fun to see where I went and just keep it in the meta in general. Eventually, I got into Modern. Really like Modern, but it's just a little bit crazy these days. And eventually, I got here. Didn't meet you guys yet, but I played for. My boss got me back into it. So he he's like, oh, you used to play. I'm like, yeah, I used to play. He got me. Yeah, but cool. I got to buy a deck. So I got myself a Modern deck again. Only a couple of years ago, realistically. A year. 18. I don't know. 18 months ago or so. Okay. And started playing Modern again. I just didn't really like the people. I want to have the deck. Either if no one's playing the best deck, I'm play the best deck, or if everyone's playing the best deck, I want to play the deck that defeats the best deck. So no one is playing the best decks. Okay. So for a meta, you know me, and you've seen what I've played and what I've decided on. If no one's playing the best deck, I'm going to play it because it needs to be in the meta.
100%.
It needs to be in the meta.
Agreed.
Otherwise, no one's actually doing anything. It's like, cool, stop me. Okay, cool. Now you're stopping me. Now I can adjust. Now the meta actually shifts and changes to what it actually is.
100%.
So I was playing, one of the top 3 decks in general, and people would always complain about me playing those, and understandably, but they were good. I don't know. It was difficult, and it drove me away in general because if someone's playing the best deck, they don't want to be challenged. In my opinion, maybe they did. They didn't want to be challenged. They wanted to play their goofy decks, good pilots, great pilots, but they would just be too vocal about. Oh, you're bringing that deck. It's like no one wants to be around with that. So I saw an ad in the area on the Champion app saying competitive commander. I'm like, well, I've been watching a couple different streams recently.
Okay.
Playing with Power, a couple different other ones. I'm like, man, this is really getting me into like the jam. This looks like a lot of fun. I like Commander. Started playing a little bit more with my boss, like casual-ish in general, and eventually I got a CDH deck, and that's kind of where I met you in general, was the CDH-ish scene.
I'm curious just to know what things kind of ended up driving you.
What got me from 60 card into CEDH? The players. I kind of went into it a little bit before. I mean, when I went from 60 card to CDH, I didn't understand really what I was asking for. In 60 cards, MTG, I'm poker face all day. I mean, I play a little popper here and there, and some of the guys are just like, you just have that straight face, and I can't read you. And in 60 card, you can do that. That's what the pros do. And then whenever you win or they win, you shake hands and you can break that poker face entirely, and you can be a human being again. But in CDH, you really can't do that. If you're analytical, if you're cut off, they can't. You can be friendly without being read at the same time,
Right.
which is a difficult thing, and it's different. Where I had a mentor in 60 card formats, modern, great dude, showed me all the different tricks of how to bluff with my eyes, I suppose, is the best way to do it. I wouldn't lie, I wouldn't tell them anything, but I would do certain actions in general. I mean, you look at LSV, for example. He, during, I think, the Pro Tour, he picked up his pen, and at that point in time, the person went to combat, and that was the game. Simple things like that. It's not Zhang Zhu necessarily, but realistically, it is projecting power when you're weak and when you're...
Right. It's kind of putting yourself in a position where you can make someone think something and just ask simple questions, or even just have a way of looking at your cards that says, maybe I do have something. So
Correct.
People go, shoot, should I push here? Should I?
Do I need to play a land right now? I have 6 lands. I just drew a card. Why do I need to play my 7th when my commander's 5 at best, and I have some rocks?
So I might as well freak you out and maybe think that what I just drew was a force of will or a force of negation.
Sure, I mean the brainstorm days back.
Right.
You know,
obviously, I'm talking about CEDH and what you're talking about, but still, like, to make people think that you have something that maybe you don't, even if it means, oh well, I don't need to play my land. Like,
I don't need to play my.
I'll make you think I have something.
Correct. Asking certain questions. Hey, can I see your graveyard? Normally, pneumatic betrayal is normally going to be what's going on. It's like, oh, never mind, pass turn, right?
Like, oh,
cool. I
right.
have a blue spell, and you didn't play any other spell. Does he have a counter spell with pneumatic betrayal? Is he waiting for one more mana so he can do that plus counter hard cast?
Right. 100%.
So there's a lot of different things that you can play. Oh, cool, 1 red mana open. I wonder what that is. You know, potentially in the right deck in general. Which mana you leave open. There's a lot of different tricks in general that can apply. Sometimes people aren't attentive to it, especially on lower tables in general. You can't necessarily freak them out. You know what I mean? We have some newer players in general, and 3 mana with a black source doesn't mean anything to them. But to you and me, it says, can I play around it? Do they have it? Are they trying to scare?
Are they bluffing? Are they like?
Can I afford a blowout here?
100%.
And it comes down to strategy in general. No, I can't. I will wait for them to tap because no one's going off. And I can even say, hey, he has black mana and 2 colors. And maybe other people aren't going to go off because I'm going to scare them into this. It may be cool. I'm going to play a silence effect and then go off.
Right.
So a lot of different ways to go about it in general. So that's the biggest thing. Where you have to be political. I suppose I don't care for the word political because I'm not trying to run for office. I don't care if people like me, but I do care that people understand my point and my fears, and it's really, man, I wish there was a better word for it, but I'm not running for office yet.
Yeah.
But really what I'm trying to do is to have people like me, like a politician in general, so that they listen to what I'm telling them.
Right.
I try not to lie. Nope. I'll tell them something that they assume I have something, but I, to the best of my abilities, I try not to lie.
Yeah, I don't think, as far as CEDH games stands, I don't think I've ever lied. I've definitely been like, oh yeah, no, I don't have that piece.
Correct.
Doesn't mean I don't have this other piece, but
implied.
You know, oh, I'm tutoring. No, I'm not tutoring for what you're asking for.
I think it's very important in CEDH in order to, especially if you're playing in your same test group in general, or the wider meta of where we're at in our state. I think being known as someone that lies or someone that changes their mind after something happens is really not going to win you the war. It's going to win you a battle, and people are going to know.
And eventually it'll 100% catch up to you.
CEDH isn't big.
No, it's definitely not. Well, and the thing is I would much rather be known as the player that people just love to play against, even if I get my shit rocked. Right? Sorry, I don't know if we're not swearing or not. Whatever.
Bleep. I got a little bleep. See, watch. I can do it right now.
All right. Play that where I just did that. But I would much rather be known as the player that's like, oh, dude, it's that guy. I love playing with that dude, right? Would I like to be known as a good player? 100%, of course.
Sure.
But to me, when I'm playing at like these tournaments or playing at our pods, like I want to still be having a good time with everyone because that's really what it comes down to.
We're all here to kind of have a good time. My good time is different than your good time.
100%.
My good time is not making people cry. No, but mine is to get them to think, to have
100%.
complex, difficult games, and when they're making a stupid play, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you that this is not a good play. Telling people that they're stupid isn't going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, that's not a great way to go about
It's not going to get you anywhere. So once again, the politicking part of it that's very different than the 60 card format is something I'm still working on. I can tell them this is a wrong decision, and this is why this is a wrong decision, and they'll still make the same decision. They'll still go along with it, whatever they were like. Well, I mean, a perfect example. Nothing against the individual, but someone stopped a Wrath of God effect on the board,
Okay.
and countered it, and I was clearly in the lead. They countered it, and he's like, well, if my board gets removed, then that's not going to be good for me. It's like, cool. And I win. Cool. Look. Your board doesn't mean anything
No.
if you're not playing the game anymore. And unfortunately, there's a couple different hard truths you have to know and learn. In a 1v1 format, you wrathing my board and me getting behind, yeah, cool. Counter that all day long.
Of course.
Because it's a 1v1 format. But in a 1v4, it's like, listen, you board wipe everyone, you get hurt a little bit, you save your counter spell.
For maybe your own attempted win,
Sure. Or the next.
or the next person's attempted win, whatever it may be, but definitely people, especially people that come from casual to CEDH, their board means a lot to them,
Because that's how you win.
and you're right. In
Yep.
standard EDH games, 100%.
Yep.
Right, that's typically how you win, but in CEDH, it's just not that way. Do you have what you would consider a hot take on any either decks or just cards, just out of curiosity?
Hot take.
Yeah, we kind of brought it up a little bit earlier when we were kind of discussing where to go next with our little sections or segments.
Absolutely. So attacking the meta, because we are turning point meta.
100%.
So
There's always a turning point.
there's
Always a card printed or a something that comes up that just breaks it, and now everyone has to readapt.
Sure, absolutely. So how do we adjust? How do we change and pivot on that axiom? So for me, in my hot take in general, a meta call, I am really liking Cursed Totem. I'm really liking Grafdigger's Cage and the 2-mana Weathered Runestone. There's a couple different decks that can run those, and right now I'm kind of exploring. Most of those are in a blue-black shell.
Typically, yes.
Correct, because they don't really care. So Yuriko is something that I'm definitely looking into in general. I'm also looking into helping my protege, Caden, into a shell as well with Bad Farm, to putting those in there and saying, does it actually help blue farm too much? Does it help other decks too much? I think those are all three really great. I think stopping ETBs is huge, and that's huge for Magda in general. If you're playing Magda, you need to be playing Torpor Orb. I think Torpor Orb is really well positioned in the meta. I think a lot of people don't have to win currently with Thassa's Oracle.
I would agree with that 100%. I think, because I 100% agree with you when it comes to, because I think Weathered Runestone and Torpor Orb specifically are probably the strongest pieces that stop a lot of decks.
Sure.
Because
Sisay.
Right, Sisay can't get any non-land permanents, which means it can't go for Planeswalker lines, and it can't go and get an enchantment or something.
It's got Abrupt Decay.
It has pieces.
It can get around it, but it doesn't have any. The searches aren't huge on it, so it's not like you can go and grab that piece all the time. There's like sorceries and they're
it can still go get its Guy's Cradle, right?
It can draw.
Still go get Mountain Doom. So it can still get those through Weathered Runestone.
Sure.
But like outside of that,
Gemstones, I think, is a legendary as well.
Is Gemstones a legendary?
I think it's a legendary.
I don't know. You know what? Do you want a quick hot take from me
Sure.
that I know that I'll get flack for?
Sure, I love it.
Because I know that, I believe it was Ryan from Playing with Power.
Okay.
He got flack for it. I think gemstones is overrated.
Hmm.
Here's the thing. I'll make this quick because I know we were talking about different pieces. It's one of those cards that, to me personally, once I've mulliganed down below 6, I don't want to see it.
Then you can get rid of it.
Right? You could just you can pitch it, but then what good is it doing? Because it doesn't do anything for you later, right? And I understand it's just a land that it can make colorless when you see it later, and you can just play it out.
Brainstorm it back into the deck.
Right,
You know what I mean?
You can Mox Diamond it away.
Sure.
I totally get it, but like
discard to hand size.
But the amount of times, because everyone's dream scenario is, oh, a gemstone in my first 7, and then I'll Vampire Tutor on end step. The amount of times I've actually, and I play a shite ton of black.
Sure.
I play black all the time, and I play gemstone caverns because it's just one of those things that just feels necessary. The amount of times I've actually had a gemstone and a Vampire Tutor is like so minimal.
Sure.
It's the fact that it's like gemstone and a turn, like one play before your turn. I've rarely had it.
Having a turn 1 swan song on in 4th seat feels amazing.
And I totally get those, I totally get those fights. I do. But like, man, the amount of times I've drawn it and it's dead just makes me feel awful.
Okay, so Chrome Mox then. We should get rid of Chrome Mox as well.
Listen.
Should we get rid of Chrome Mox as well then? I mean, it really is.
I get what you're saying.
With all the new MDFC lands in general, it's definitely had a resurgence in general.
Yeah, Chrome Mox has definitely gone up.
Correct, especially in lower color decks in general, because you just got 2 new MDFCs in each monocolor deck.
Right.
So.
But regardless, okay, everyone can hate me for the gemstone caverns thing. It's just one of those things that
Mox Diamond. We should get rid of that as well.
I have drawn gemstone and it be dead more than I've had it in my opening hands and have it do something crazy. No, yeah. So yeah, we're to the turning point. I hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble. Again, this is just kind of a starter episode. We're not experts, obviously.
Figuring it out.
We're taking it every day as we go, but we want to know how people feel about this first episode. Maybe some topics as to what we could talk about. I'd love to have episodes about so many different things, and I know that everyone out there with their own CEDH podcasts have talked about different topics, but it is good to hear. It is good to hear different sides and different perspectives on all sorts of different things.
And hear from our viewers in general. I might not have a great topic. Mine might not be the correct one. But some of those are based off my experiences, and maybe I don't have all the experiences that everyone else does have.
Right. But yeah, so until then, we're just going to pick our own topics, and we're going to roll with it. So thank you guys so much for watching or listening, if you're listening. And we will see you next time on The Turning Point.
Take it easy.